Hello and welcome to Inside F1 in a sweltering hot Malaysia. We've left the cool and calm of Melbourne and we're here now at a very different circuit and a very different climate. 33 degrees here today. Now you can see behind me this is still a relatively new facility in terms of Formula One, a vast paddock which makes life a little bit tough if you're a pit lane reporter in this heat. But the teams do love coming here, so much more space than some of the traditional circuits that we go to. Now standing beside me here is Gary Anderson. Gary, I think we can all feel that we've come to a different race. Race 2 already this season. What did we learn today in free practice?
Well, you sure got it right about the heat, and I think the competition is going to be very hot for both qualifying and the race. I mean, the two McLarens are there, the two Mercedes cars are there, I think the two Red Bulls are there, plus a few other interlopers, and I think it's going to be just really tough tomorrow to know who's going to be in pole position. Now,
you were thinking this heat, the cars and the tyres would stick to the track, but lots of off-roading today, particularly Paul Di Resta. He had a couple of excursions. Let's take a look. The first one, though, wasn't his fault, though.
Yes, he had a punctured right front tyre, and when he came down to that corner, he was doing 305 kilometres, and he just couldn't get stopped. Obviously, he just went a bit wide there, but no big problem. They fixed it. I think it was a problem within the brakes. It cut through the rim, maybe a stone inside the brake duct cut through the rim. So yeah, problem there. But this one here was sort of his problem. This is where the tyres are going off. He comes into this fast right-hander. The rear of the car just steps out. He tries to catch it, obviously gets sideways, and then the car grips and goes straight across the track into the grass. But everything survived, and he got back out again later.
By all means, not the only driver who was struggling out there today. We can see him going the wrong direction across that, which must have been a little bit scary for everyone driving towards him. Sebastian Vettel was also complaining on his team radio, which is something that we don't hear very often. Let's take a listen.
Okay, to be honest, tires never have been there. Cars all over the place, poor balance.
Yeah, that's what he's saying there. The rear tyres just go away, and you know, once that starts to happen, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So traction is very important around here, coming off these slow speed corners onto the long straights. So obviously a lot of mechanical work going on in the setup of the Red Bull today.
And Mark Webber as well was talking about tyres and saying that he was also suffering on the rear tyres too.
Yeah, I saw more work going on in the Red Bull garage than we've probably seen for the last 2 years. You know, they were changing torsion bars and anti-roll bars and dampers. So really, they're pushing pretty hard to get a better balanced car for the race.
But one person who can be smiling tonight is Lewis Hamilton, quickest from free practice 1 and 2.
Yes, Lewis obviously knows that, you know, the car's got a little bit of an advantage here. He wants to try and maximise the points that he can take home after these, you know, these two flyaways. If you can do that at the start of the season, you know it's not such a big problem if the other teams close down on you. So he knows where he is, but Jenson Button will be there as well. Jenson's very good at setting the car up for the race, so I think the McLarens look very strong.
Well, thanks for the moment, Gary. Ross Brawn is going to be joining us very shortly. But first, let's take a listen to what the drivers were saying after free practice and free practice 2 today.
Today, I think it's such a fast-flowing circuit. You've got to make a balance of how much life of the tyres you take out in the first sector and how you divide it over the 3 sectors. That's really the key.
And having a chance to run both compounds of tyre properly here, unlike in Australia, have you found much difference to what you had here last year? Because it's really your first experience this year's setup of Pirelli tyres.
No, I think the last year was very similar, to be honest. I mean, the car feels very similar. Only when you're off power, you have a lot less downforce than you did last year. So there's a little bit more movement on the entry of corners, particularly the medium and low speed corners. But generally the car's feeling quite good, so I'm quite happy with it.
I think all in all we had a decent running today. Yeah, there's still a lot to do. I'm not entirely happy yet, but you know, it's not as if we expected that all of our problems are solved within 3 hours today. The tires seem to drop off pretty quickly, so everyone starts to slide around fairly soon. So do we, but I think generally we're sliding a bit too much, and I would love to, yeah, I'd love the car to be a bit more predictable and stable in the beginning.
It's always tricky around here. I mean, compared to the last race, you have a lot less grip around here, just because of the humidity and the heat and the type of circuit it is. But it's working okay. But I think compared to last year for all of us, without a blown diffuser or with the different regulations, it makes it a lot more difficult here, because this is somewhere that traction is a big issue. So it's tougher than last year to get the right balance. But I think we're doing all the right things. I think the long run seems to be consistent.
So it looks like we're going to be set for a pretty hot qualifying tomorrow, but one man who's used to keeping cool under lots of pressure is Ross Brawn. Ross, you've been getting a little bit of pressure from some of the other teams. We'll talk about that just in a minute. Just let's talk first of all about Melbourne. What are your thoughts after that race?
Obviously disappointed with the final result. There were some very encouraging signs, but we didn't turn it into a result at the end of the race. We had a retirement with Michael's car, and then we struggled with rear tyres with Nico's car, which we hadn't anticipated well enough. So it was a little bit disappointing, but there were positives in that the car seems to be reasonably quick. We've just got to find the right balance, the right combination for the race.
We can just take a look at Michael here. It was a gearbox problem. Things were so positive going into that race. Is there any reason why it shouldn't be now? It was one race out of 20.
No, I mean, it's a pretty vicious business, this. If you get a few things wrong, you pay the price. And I say we've got the core performance is there. It's made us take a little bit different perspective on how we approach the weekend. New tyres, a new family of tyres at the moment, and we obviously didn't quite understand them well enough in Melbourne, so I'm optimistic.
Ross, there's still a little bit of controversy going around about this DRS rear wing system you guys are running. What sort of lap time is it worth in qualifying, do you think?
If I told you that, Gary, let's be honest, we're doing it because it's an advantage. I don't want to say how much an advantage it is, because obviously that tells our opposition how hard they should work at copying it. So that's a piece of information we keep to ourselves. But I would be stupid if I said it's not worth very much. It's worth something, and it was worth making.
And do you think you can carry whatever that is into the race as well, or just because obviously you can't use DRS as much in the race?
No, exactly, and I think it's it's perhaps why there needs to be some perspective kept on it. It's beneficial when we're able to use DRS in the race for overtaking, but the rest of the laps, the normal laps, we don't get the benefit.
And does that have anything to do with this tyre degradation that you suffered in Australia, do you think? Is there any relationship between the two?
Not that we're aware of. I mean, it may mean that our race pace and our qualifying pace may get a little enhanced because we've got the system. But I think we look back at the Barcelona test. We did a lot of work without the DRS. We're sensitive to making sure the car can work without the system, and our race runs in Barcelona test were pretty encouraging.
Ross, did free practice go as you'd hoped, as your drivers had hoped?
Yeah, I mean, the difficulty when you have a race like we had at Melbourne is you've got to respond but not over-respond. It's easy to almost do too much to try and solve the problem and take some performance out of the car. But it was good today because we had relatively consistent conditions. Weather was kind to us, and we were able to do some long runs, and we learnt a lot. We're not quite there with the car yet. There's some work we want to do tonight, and you'll probably see us running fuel again in the morning. But it certainly went as well as we could.
And do you approach this race as almost like the start of a season in a way? Albert Park is such a different racetrack. We come here to I suppose, a proper racetrack. Will this give us all a better guide to the pecking order?
I think these first 4 races are a good spread. We've got Australia, now here, China, Bahrain. They're a good spread of tracks. This is a rear tyre limited track. We're going to China, which is a front tyre limited track. So I think after these first 4 races, we're going to get a pretty clear picture of the pecking order.
Very briefly, where do you think you'll be tomorrow?
I don't make predictions, but I'd be very disappointed if we couldn't qualify at least as well as we did in Melbourne and have a race from that sort of position.
Ross, thanks very much for joining us. I hope you have a great weekend. Gary, thanks very much to you too. Well, let's take a look at when you can watch highlights from qualifying tomorrow. It's on BBC One at 1 o'clock, and I'll be back on Inside F1 tomorrow night at 6:45 on the news channel. So, same time, same place. But will it be a different story in qualifying, or will McLaren remain dominant? That's not something we heard too often last season, was it? Thanks very much for watching. Tune in tomorrow to find out. Bye-bye.